All right, everybody, welcome back to Birds and Buckets. I'm Rashad Milligan. I'm here with my co-host Malik Brown. Malik, how you doing this week?
Doing good, bro. Doing good. Another Sunday. What's going on?
Another Sunday, another fun day. And now we had some people in our little chat, a little chit chat, you know. These guys don't know what they're talking about. They look like they're winging it. Oh, mind your business, first of all.
Mind your business.
Start your own Hawks podcast. There's plenty of start your own Hawks podcast. But in the meantime, in response, we brought the guy who knows the most about the – well, okay. Shout out to Brad. Shout out Zach. You know, shout out
all them.
Outside of all them, the guy who we know who knows the most about the Hawks, man. We got my guy Grant in the building. Grant.
Yes, sir.
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Generational Grant.
Oh Lord.
Hey man, Grant. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm gonna get right into it since I already know how you be talking. So, Kevin Huerter had 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists today.
Hey, it was fun.
Yeah. I just want to know your reaction to Kevin Huerter's performance.
So I actually had the pleasure of actually being able to go to the game today. My friend happened to have a ticket, and he was like, he meant the last second. As I was out eating, he was like, "You want to go to the game?" And I was like, "Sure." He knows I like the Hawks. I like what Kevin's been doing. Ironically, I had a friend that pointed this out to me today. He was just like, and I paid attention to it kind of. He was like, Kevin's been playing better since Nate McMillan's been our head coach. But I think, honestly, a lot of the players have been playing a little bit better. I think part of that has to be we're going into more of that these players now have more defined roles and what's going on, rather than, it being kind of like a freelance. Because I always felt like, Kevin could be a starter, but he always felt like a kind of like a supercharged Kyle Korver type guy to me. Should have him coming off cuts, pin down, screens, or running around a little bit to, supercharge the guy. I never really would say that he would be like, a bona fide starter. He always felt like a 6-man to me. But, I mean, he's doing what he has to do right now because we're so injured. So he's been cooking last couple weeks with the injuries. I hope he keeps it up, honestly.
I also have a question. This is just a theory I came up with in the past week, and then I kind of like erased it after the Bucks game. But I feel like, people keep saying like when the Hawks get healthy or when any team gets healthy, because we were just talking about it last week how no one's healthy this season. So right. I think the playoffs are kind of open market. Mm-hmm. As crazy as that sounds, because it's like, how many teams have you seen in the past in the NBA where it's like once they get healthy? I think back to my childhood, the Houston Rockets with Yao and McGrady. And it's like once those guys get healthy, and they never got healthy, so we never got to see them together in the playoffs. So it's like, do you agree with that? Do you think that this is open season for the playoffs in the NBA?
I would say yes to a degree. It's an unusual season. It's so condensed. I think I've been reading some stuff where it's just like, of course, because of COVID and whatnot, like I think within the last 2 weeks or something like that, the Heat and like the Jazz got the Grizzlies got a whole bunch of games to make up. They got like 12 games in like 2 weeks or something like that, which is nuts. That is something that's crazy to me. And just, I think like what you said is honest, bro. Like it's open season, honestly. Too many injuries to key players as well. You never know if you're going to get your full rotation or what your full playoff rotation is. For all we know, DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish may not come back for the rest of the year. So we might have to see Kevin at the 3 in the playoffs, which would be unusual. So something we have to deal with.
Do you think Emory is doing a good job as far as these as far as getting these players right, or what do you think is the cause of concern for this? Because I mean, I swear they said Jay was supposed to be back before John. I may be getting that confused, but somebody was supposed to be back before somebody, and John just came back today. So what do you think is going on?
Honestly, I'm not certain. I'm confused about everything that's going on as well, because Chelsea Lane is like well renowned and across the league as being that great team doctor. I really wish I could tell you. I don't know. I hope they get healthy just for the sake of, because I feel like, to the detriment of the Hawks, kind of. It's like we're a 4 seed and we've been playing pretty decent or whatever, but we don't even know what this team could look like if they were fully healthy. We've never been afforded that. We've seen them when they were relatively healthy for the most part, but we've never seen the team at full strength. Everybody's healthy and nobody has like any issues. I would like to see that personally. I think it would be dope.
We also don't know how the Nets look like.
Don't know. That's the thing. We don't know how any team looks really, but honestly, we haven't seen like a healthy team because it was so condensed, and then you came off the season so quickly from the other season. Like I think the finals ended like October.
Yeah.
And they started back up Christmas Day. Like that's ridiculous. Like that is not enough time like to recharge your batteries. They get a whole summer off for a reason. Like honestly, they get that whole summer off for that very reason. So guess we'll have to.
Oh dang, you get. Oh, no, go ahead.
I think. Well, I mean, I know you guys didn't ask this, but I just think in terms of like the playoffs in general, it's just gonna be who has the most depth and who can stay the healthiest, or even like which stars can stay the healthiest. I guess if that makes sense, because stars tend to take over during that time. Your rotations get shorter and whatnot instead of going with like 9 to 10 guys.
Hey, Malik. Okay, so I guess in the meantime,
yeah, he'll be back.
You talked about dropping off, the 8-man rotation idea. Are you still rolling with that? We brought on True, and True is like, there's no way you can possibly do that.
As far as the 8-man rotation, I mean, shoot, if everybody's healthy, I don't think you can go 8. I don't see it. And honestly, who knows if Drake comes back and he comes back in the starting lineup? Like I don't know. They might just consider bringing him off the bench, depending on when he comes back. If he comes back like now, I feel like he'll have enough time to get back in the starting lineup. But Kevin's been doing good at that 3 spot. So, all right, he's back. All right, cool. So yeah,
I apologize.
You good. So if everybody's healthy, I think you got to roll with saying that Drake does come back at the 3. I think the bench would be, you got to put Kevin in there, Lou, Gallinari. Feel like I'm missing somebody. That's 8.
Snell.
Snell. Oh yeah, I forgot about Snell. That's it.
8
I think that's it.
I think in a perfect world, based on the Hawks roster, I'm not saying like this would be my starters or anything, but I think your playoff rotation would be something: Trey, Bogey, Dre, John, Capela. That's 5. Lou, of course, Kevin. In a perfect world, you put Cam Reddish out there because he's one of the best defenders you have. I feel like I trust Tony Snell over Solomon Hill. But Solomon Hill does dirty work, if that makes sense. Like, he can't shoot for nothing, but he definitely does dirty work. But I still probably put Tony instead of Solomon Hill. And then Okongwu at most. That's if you go to 10.
Don't know Gallo?
You forgot Gallo.
I'm tripping. I tweet. Gallo definitely would do Gallo probably before Tony Snell. Realistically speaking, that's it in a perfect world.
So both of y'all. Perfect world. So both of y'all are counting out Chris Dunn.
I don't know. I just don't know if we're gonna get Chris Dunn. They keep saying that we're gonna see him, and also we don't even know if Cam is gonna be back as well either, because Achilles is nothing to mess with. Honestly, that hurts. I feel like defensively. And I'd be interested personally to see what he would do under Nate McMillan. Like I said before, if you look at like just Kevin, for example, simplified roles help younger players, I think, dramatically. Like instead, because I feel like under Lloyd, it's not to bag on Lloyd or anything. I just feel like Cam got stuck in the corner on offense, and he can do so much more on offense than just stick in a corner and try to shoot threes. And I think he's also a rhythm player just based on how he looks. I feel like if you look at him and how he's played, if the first one goes down, the game is pretty good. If the first one doesn't go down, he's gonna have a bad game so far. That's just who he is right now at this very moment. I'm not saying that's who he'll be as an NBA player, but that's how I feel he looks like right now.
So last week, some of the Hawks players, Solomon Hill and Bogey said that they were using the Bucks game as like a measuring stick to see where they kind of fit in the East. So apparently, it didn't look good as far as like how they stack up against the first three teams. I mean, I know they played Brooklyn pretty well, but as far as like that fourth seed down on, do you feel like the Hawks are the best team out of that bunch?
The homer in me wants to say yes at full strength. I feel like the only two teams that would maybe give me like concern if they got hot were like the Celtics, just due to the fact that they have such long-standing playoff chemistry, and the Heat, because same reasons, long-standing playoff chemistry. It's kind of a little bit different. However, I know this is gonna sound weird. I foresee a Hawks Celtics playoff matchup in the first round, and I think that will be a very interesting matchup. But it'll be a difficult matchup for the Hawks if Dre and or Cam is not back, because they're our best wing defenders, and you need somebody to be able to guard Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And if they're not out there to help protect Trey as well, then you give Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart free reign to harass Trey the entire time, and that ain't cool. Even though, like, we got Bogey, you got Kevin on the wing too, you got Capela. I don't even think they have a real answer for Capela or John, to be honest with you, because John be killing the Celtics. But, you need somebody on the wing to be able to stop Tatum, who's probably going to get his, and Jaylen Brown too, because I think we played whatever game. We've beat them twice, I think, this year. But, like, I think it was the middle game. Jaylen Brown had, like, a trash game. And I think it was because of Cam, mostly. So
was that the game Kemba went off, or I can't remember. It was one game Kemba was. I think that may have been the middle game.
The middle game was the one that the Hawks lost, because the first game was Trey went off, and then second game in Boston they lost really bad.
That's when Kemba went off.
Third game they won again.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Rashad.
Oh, I had nothing else to say.
All right, cool. So, Clint Capela, I know, you've been probably one of his biggest critics since the beginning of the season. What do you see? What's the difference between when you were his biggest critic to now, where it just seems like, I mean, he's putting up a double every night?
You talking about me?
Yeah.
My biggest issue with Clint was that he tried to be Hakeem, and he's not him offensively in the post, and that's okay. Like, do you, my man? You don't have to do all that. But what I wholeheartedly will say, right now, it's gonna sound weird. Outside of Trey, he's probably our most important player, right? Like today, because defensively, he's A1. We're so much better defensively with him on the field. I mean, on the court. Him and John are actually a pretty decent duo, even though people thought that it would be a bad one or a weird fit. He does clean up on the boards. Like, he's nasty on the boards. So you can't hate on him. My only issue is that I guess, like, I compare him, and this is just my fault, really, because, like, I'm like a perfectionist. I'm comparing him to the Jokic and the Embiids of the world. A lot of things offensively. Cat's not great defensively, but Cat does everything humanly possible. He might be the most gifted offensive center in the game right now. But then you look at Embiid. Embiid's a great two-way player. He can get his offensively. He's a load to handle. I think when we played them, even short-handed, he cracked us for, like, it had to be at least 30 on Clint. So I feel like but like I said, can't hate. Clint gets his double-doubles. I think today he had like 23 and like 23, something crazy like that. Like, you can't not get happy about that. Like, and for us to have gotten him for pennies on the dollar, what was, like, Evan Turner's contract or something like that, and like a pick.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Yeah, 25 and 24 today, by the way.
Excuse me, my bad. But I'm just saying, like, Exactly. Like we were begging. Like if you compare this to like last year, we were begging for a center, just a competent center, and he's clearly more than competent. Like I said, my biggest issue is just like sometimes he tries to do too much on offense, and it's just like your offensive game isn't that great. Where I just want you to catch lobs, run great pick and rolls, and that's it. You don't have to shoot the basketball. Like that's it. You are not Hakeem. Don't give me the hook shot. Don't give me none of that. Don't give me none of that. We good. Outside of don't do none of that. We are good. Get the ball back to a guard.
All right, so I got one more. So it's for both of y'all. So I mean, I know y'all been seeing over on Twitter. You know, you got Trey Young being 16th in the 25 and under. Then you got dudes comparing him to Lonzo, and then at this point, is Trey Young overrated? I mean, not overrated, underrated.
Please. Rashad, you want to take that one first? Or you want me to
I'll grab it. Hold on. My Wi-Fi acting crazy now. Okay, we're good now. Underrated. And I would say fairly rated for a second just because of how famous he is. But despite being famous, I think there's a difference between being famous and being like known as this guy respected around the league as this guy is legit. Like he's one of the better players in the league. And I thought he had that respect last year, especially going into the whole lockdown of quarantine and stuff like that. But then it kind of just went away as the season started. Like he didn't shoot the ball as well, and his points per game went down because he had some actual help on offense. And he's improved defensively because, you know, Brad Rowland, this is, stealing from Brad, but he said his improved his performance, a lot of it that is done on defense has been because the offensive load and the offensive expectation for him is kind of, just going down so much. So he's been able to save a lot of energy for the other side of the floor. But yeah, that's why I think he's become underrated because, the whole Steve Nash comment really messed everything up. Like, I think that's the reason he literally missed the All-Star team was because people legitimately, like, it's crazy how weird narratives can get started. It's why people are so tough on us as the media. And, like, as the media members, we're just like, yo, it's not, you know what I'm saying? I'm just one person. I have an opinion. But, like, that stuff, one person says one thing, and it sticks with them. Like, it affects, like, their money. It affects, like, the, like, All-Star, All-NBA. Like, it's crazy. It's just one person says one thing, and people just run with it. It's, like, it's wild. Like, you would think the human mind would be more complex than that to be like, oh, that's just one person's opinion, but it's literally like people, like you look at Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is kind of underrated now, But yeah, that's my thought. Go ahead, Grant.
I'm gonna agree and wholeheartedly say that I think Trey is underrated. Trey averages like 25 and like 9, I think, which is crazy in a vacuum. Like I think if you look at any other superstar and say, "Oh yeah, I got a superstar," I don't really consider Trey to be a superstar. And only reason my definition of superstar is top 10 player in the league. So that's kind of why I think Trey's a star though. Don't like wholeheartedly, but superstar is just a different label for me. But if you look at a star or superstar and say, I have this guy who's averaging 25 and 9, you'll be like, I'll take that. I don't see how he's necessarily overrated. And like you said, I love that you mentioned the narrative thing because I literally just tweeted about this today. And I said, I think a lot of NBA Twitter does not like the game of basketball. I think they enjoy the narratives, and that causes them to drive their thinking about basketball. I don't think you watch it. So, like, if I were to compare it to the NFL, I think people watch football because like watching football. I think a lot of people that are on NBA Twitter don't like basketball like they say they do. I think it's just they hear it on a sports network or a debate show, don't actually like try to watch the game for themselves to see what this player is doing or look at the injuries that are happening on said teams or why is this person having to carry this much of a load and whatnot. Like, if you looked at the team or if you watch games, like I have friends that do this all the time. Like when I tell them, I'm like, you don't watch the Hawks for real. Like they would try to tell me about like what's going on with the Hawks. And I'm like, bro, you're not watching, like straight up. You don't watch the Hawks. Like I watch these guys every game. So I know what they're doing. The Steve Nash thing, I think definitely helped, like you said, and how he's refereed kind of, as well as him, like you said, him not making the All-Star game. Like his like NBA peers not voting him as high as he was last year into the All-Star game, and then the coaches, I don't think, voted him as well. Like there were definitely deserving players. Like I think like Zach LaVine definitely deserved to be in the All-Star game this year, but Trey probably could have been an All-Star too. Like honestly, like I have my thoughts also about like how the All-Star game is kind of looked at, but that's a totally different discussion.
Yeah, I mean, one person I was looking at really was Jason Tatum. Tatum at the All-Star break, I don't think he was an All-Star this year. And then
Yeah,
you
he had
got
missed
the
a whole like 2 weeks. He missed 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, he didn't make.
And then the Bradley Beal thing too of that was the fans, but I know they say if you lead the league in scoring, okay, all right, I get it. But then that goes to like, okay, I know these are two different discussions, but with the MVP race and Steph, like why isn't Steph considered a top 5? Like because of winning, he's winning more than the Wizards. I mean, I know it's two different things, All-Star versus MVP, but I don't get why a guy like the L word, who I can't say on this, forsaken platform because, then we'll get canceled. But, the L word is in the top 3 of MVP consideration. And he's not doing half the things that what Steph is doing is ridiculous, So I don't know. I was kind of going on a tangent there at the end there. But anything from you, Malik, before we get into this week and the standings?
No, we good. We can go.
All right, cool. So let me go ahead and share my screen and let's get into it. Okay, so here we go. Here's this week's schedule. You got the Magic, the Knicks, the Heat, Lord have mercy, and then you end it with the Bucks. All right. I guess I'll go first. Magic, where is this? It's in Atlanta. That's always a trap game in my opinion. They don't have Vooch anymore, so that's a positive.
They don't got nobody though.
Wendell Carter, throw some respect on Georgia boy. But all right. I got the Hawks right here. Hawks. Where is this? In New York? Okay, that's definitely an L. That's 1-1. Where is this? Miami? They got a chance. I got them losing 1-2 just to be edgy. And then the Bucks come back to Atlanta. I still got them. I don't know. JC's back. That game was closer than what the final score indicated because they came back in the third quarter. I think the Hawks get that one. I'm gonna go 2-2.
My bad.
Go ahead, Grant. You good?
I was gonna say I think the Hawks also go 2-2, but I think they'll win the Magic game. That is a trap game, but like thankfully Vooch isn't there to kill us like he usually is. The Knicks game feels to me like how the Hornets game did as well as the Cavs game did when we finally got rid of Lloyd. I don't know why we could not figure out the Cavs or why we couldn't figure out the Hornets this year. I think it's because both of those teams play pretty decent defense. And they were hounding Trey as well. The Knicks are one of those teams that also plays really good defense, but they're not like a great shooting team. Like they have Julius Randle, but I don't think the team as a whole can shoot. I feel like that's the game we win. And for some odd reason, the Heat, I don't know. I hope we beat them. And we don't have an answer for Giannis. We have yet to figure that out. But those Bucks games, like you said, have been closer. Even though the first one, when we didn't have Trey and Clint, was actually closer than it looked at the end, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know.
All right, so I'm gonna go Magic. They're gonna beat the Magic. I feel like that the Knicks Hawks game, that's probably gonna be the best game this week, just because I think the Knicks and the Hawks are both 31 and I think they're gonna have the same record or something like that. So that's gonna be a big game right there. They were 31-20. Yeah, so that's gonna be a big game, but they have struggled against the Knicks. So I'm gonna go L on that one. I'm gonna go L on Knicks. The Heat, always a tough matchup. They seem like they got the magic sauce to guard Trey for some apparent reason. But I think they'll beat the Heat and they'll lose to the Bucks. So I got 2-2.
All right. And now my favorite segment of the show now is the playoffs. Hypothetical playoffs. Here we go, Grant. First round, Hawks versus Celtics. Who do you have and how many games?
I want the smoke. I want the smoke. Actually, no, real talk. I think also, I don't know if y'all peeped this today. Twitter was like ablaze about this after the Hawks game, and I guess after the Celtics game. I think hypothetically a 4-5 matchup between the Hawks and the Celtics is going 6 or 7 games, honestly. But it also depends on the health of both teams. I don't think the Celtics have an answer for Clint or John Collins, but I don't think if Dre and Cam aren't available, we'll suffer on the wing trying to contain Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's difficult. And I think the Celtics also depends on if Kemba Walker decides he wants to show up, because he played like garbage like one of those games, I think, this year. Like, he was god-awful. And they're going to have Marcus Smart to try to harass Trey. I think Trey would be smart to try to foul him out at some point, or get him in foul trouble, I should say, before if we could do anything with that game, or that series, I should say.
So who do you have and how many games?
Hawks in 6.
I like that. I like that. All right, so if they beat the Celtics in 6, who they play?
Wait, no. Who do you have? Who do you have, Malik?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got the Celtics. I really don't.
Grant, that's why you ain't say it. That's why you ain't say it. He said, all right, so moving on to round 2. No, hold on. You didn't give your prediction.
Look.
He said that. He said at the beginning of it. I kind of heard him say kind of like this.
Yeah. I mean,
different for us.
Like Grant said, if Dre and Cam come back, that gives them a better chance than they have now without them. But the way Jason Tatum's been playing and Jalen's been playing like these past 2 weeks, they've been on fire. And like Grant said as well, if Kemba, it really all depends on Kemba. Because Kemba's been on and off. If he's on, then the Hawks have to deal with 3 players like that. The Celtics really don't have a bench. I mean, they got Fournier. He's been hurt. They don't really have anybody on their bench. So when that bench comes in, they'll probably be doomed. But I just feel like, and I've said this since the beginning of the season, I've felt like the Celtics were a top team in the East. I felt like they were the best team that could match up with the Nets as far as like offensive firepower. I felt like they can just go head to head with them. So I've always been on the Celtics. I just don't see. I think the Celtics will beat the Hawks probably in 6.
All right. Well, moving on now. I guess jumping to the end. My prediction for that right now, I haven't watched enough of the Celtics as of recent to give an opinion, but from what I've seen at the first half of this season, I think the Hawks will win that series as well, and probably 7.
Celtics are like on a 6-game win streak.
I know. I'm here. Yeah, 6 games, and so are the Knicks. But we're running out of time here. If they face the Sixers, so how far do you have them going, Grant? Do you have them going Eastern Conference Finals?
Who, the Hawks?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Second round.
So you got them losing to the Sixers.
Yeah, in second round, I'd say they'd probably lose, which, in my personal opinion, would be a good season, honestly.
For sure.
Based on what we did last year.
Especially considering where they were just earlier in this season, underachieving. But everybody go around, give out your socials for the people because it's about to cut off.
At Request Granted on Twitter, and Grant Pascal, Paschal, on Instagram.
Find me on Twitter at _Malik ATL, and subscribe to Atlanta Sports Unlimited.
And if they come out clean,